Let me ask you something. If I stopped you right now and asked, what do men really want in a relationship? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Sex? Respect? Food on the table? Maybe peace and quiet after work? Here's the truth. Those are the answers people think are true. But in reality, most men want something way deeper. And the crazy part? They rarely, if ever, say it out loud. Think about the men you know. Brothers, friends, maybe your partner. How often do they actually tell you what they need emotionally? Exactly. Almost never. Instead, men tend to put on this armor. They'll laugh things off. They'll act like everything is fine. They'll say, "I'm good, don't worry about me." But here's the hidden truth. Under that armor, there's a silent struggle going on. Men want things. They crave things. But because of society, because of fear, because of pride, they just don't talk about it. And that silence? That's what creates so much confusion between men and women, and even inside men themselves. See, here's where it gets interesting. Men are told from an early age, don't cry, don't complain, don't be weak, be tough, be strong. So they learn how to bury their feelings. They learn how to suppress what they really want. And over time, they even convince themselves that what they truly want doesn't matter. But deep down, it does. And when those needs aren't met, that's when men pull away. That's when they shut down emotionally. That's when they leave, or cheat, or spiral into stress, anger, even depression. Because when a man doesn't feel like he can express what he really wants, he ends up living life behind a mask. Quick question for you. Do you think most men actually know what they want? Or do they just go with what society tells them to want? Drop your answer in the comments, because I guarantee the debate is going to get heated. Let me give you a real example. A friend of mine once told me about his dad. His dad worked long hours, provided for the family, never missed a bill. From the outside, he looked like the perfect husband and father. But behind closed doors, he was distant, quiet, almost cold. One day, after years of silence, he finally admitted something shocking. "I just don't feel like anyone sees me. I don't feel like I matter. Not money, not sex, not status." What he wanted was to feel seen, valued, and appreciated. And that, right there, is what men rarely admit out loud, because it sounds vulnerable, it sounds weak, but it's the truth. So let's break this down. On the surface, men act like they want the obvious things: sex, food, success, respect. But peel back the layers, and the truth is, they want to be seen. They want to be respected for who they are, not just what they can provide. They want emotional safety, a place where they can drop the act and just be themselves. And most of all, they want purpose. They want to feel like their existence has weight, like they matter to someone beyond what they can give. The silent struggle is that men don't feel safe enough to say this. So instead, they bury it. They laugh it off. They keep going through life on autopilot, hoping someone, someday, will just get it without them having to say a word. And that's exactly why in the next chapter, I'm going to break down the biggest myth about what men want and reveal the reality that almost nobody talks about. Because here's the kicker. If you've been told men only want one thing, you've been lied to. The truth is way deeper, and when you hear it, it'll change how you see men forever. If this first chapter made you pause for a second, hit that like button. It lets me know I'm on the right track. And let me know in the comments, do you think men are misunderstood, or do they make it harder by staying silent? Trust me, you don't want to miss the next chapter. Because What I'm about to share will flip everything you thought you knew about male psychology upside down. Okay, so let's get real. When you hear someone say, all men want is one thing, what comes to mind? Yup, sex. That's the classic answer, right? That's the punchline in movies, the joke in stand-up routines, the stereotype in every single meme online. But let me stop you right there, because that idea, that's one of the biggest myths about men. And it's the exact myth that blinds people from understanding what men actually crave deep down. Here's the truth. Yes, men enjoy sex. No one's denying that. But to reduce a man's entire emotional and psychological framework down to one word is not just lazy, it's destructive. Because when we tell men over and over again that they only want sex, two things happen. Men start believing it themselves. They use it as a mask, a way of avoiding the vulnerability of admitting what they really need. Women stop looking deeper. They assume men are simple, when in reality, men are complex, but often afraid to show it. And that's how relationships end up disconnected. One side thinking, why can't he just be honest? And the other thinking, why can't she just see what I need without me saying it? Think of it like an iceberg. What you see above the water. That's what society teaches us about men. Strong, competitive, driven, sexual. But below the surface, that's where the real stuff lives. Insecurities, fears, hopes, the desire to be respected, valued, admired. That part is massive, but it's hidden. And because men are taught not to expose that side, most of the world never sees it. Let me throw this out there. Do you think men hide their true desires on purpose? Or do you think they've just been conditioned so long that they don't even know how to express them anymore? Comment your thoughts. I guarantee people are going to disagree on this one. I remember talking to a guy once who admitted something powerful. He said, I've been in relationships where I got plenty of sex, but I still felt empty. I realized it wasn't about the physical stuff. What I really wanted was to feel appreciated, to feel like my effort meant something. And that right there shows us the difference between the myth and the reality. The myth says men just want sex. The reality is, sex without connection feels hollow. What men are actually looking for is the feeling behind it. Validation, admiration, closeness. Here's the part most people miss. From the time they're young, men are fed a script. Win the game, make the money, get the girl. It's like a checklist. Success equals validation. But here's the dark side. When men follow that script and still feel unfulfilled, they don't know where to turn. Because society told them, that's all you need. That's the dream. So when that dream doesn't satisfy them, they start to feel broken. Like something must be wrong with them for wanting more. Picture two men. The first one gets attention, money, and sex. But he feels like nobody really respects him for who he is. The second one? Maybe he doesn't have flashy success, but when he walks into the room, his partner looks at him like he's the most important man in the world. Who do you think is happier? Exactly. Because at the core, it's not about surface-level rewards. It's about deeper recognition. So here's the reality most men never say out loud. They want admiration, not just attention. They want respect, not just obedience. They want connection, not just physical intimacy. These are the things men secretly crave. These are the things they don't admit, sometimes even to themselves. And when they don't get them, that's when frustration builds. That's when they check out of relationships, chase external validation, or spiral into self-doubt. And that brings us to the biggest hidden truth of all: respect. For most men, respect is even more important than love. In fact, it's the foundation that makes love mean something. And in the next chapter, we're going to break down exactly why respect and admiration are at the very center of male psychology, and why the absence of it can completely destroy a relationship. If this chapter challenged how you've always seen men, hit that like button so more people find this video. And tell me in the comments, have you ever believed the myth that men only want one thing? Or do you already see the deeper reality? Stick around for Chapter 3, because trust me, you're about to discover the most powerful desire men carry, and why it matters more than almost anything else. Let me hit you with the truth bomb. For most men, respect is more important than love. That might sound shocking, even controversial, but stick with me, because once you understand this, you'll unlock one of the deepest truths about male psychology and why so many relationships succeed or fail. Here's the thing, men hear the word love all the time. Movies, songs, social media, it's everywhere. But ask most men privately what they crave the most, and you'll hear something different. They want respect. Why? Because respect is tied directly to identity. It's tied to pride. It's tied to feeling like their effort, their sacrifices, their existence actually matter. Love says, I care about you. Respect says, I admire you for who you are. And between the two, most men will quietly tell you, admiration hits deeper. I'll give you an example. A man once told me, I'd rather my partner respect me and not always agree with me than say she loves me but constantly put me down. Think about that. He wasn't asking for constant praise. He wasn't asking to be worshipped. He just wanted to feel like his efforts meant something. That when he fixed the car, worked the late shift, or chased his goals, it wasn't invisible. Because for men, respect is fuel. And when they don't get it, it's like running on empty. Here's what usually happens when men don't feel respected. They don't yell. They don't cry about it. They don't even always argue. They withdraw. They stop sharing. They stop trying. They shut down. And from the outside, it looks like they've just stopped caring. But the truth is, they're starving for admiration. And without it, they start to wonder, what's the point? Why am I even here? That thought, that creeping doubt, it is the root of so many breakups, affairs, and emotional shutdowns. Quick question. Do you think respect in a relationship is earned daily, or should it be unconditional once you're committed? Let me know in the comments, because this one gets heated. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When men feel respected, they naturally give more love. They open up. They become more affectionate, more giving, more emotionally available. But when respect is missing, love starts to wither. It's like a cycle. Respect fuels love, and love reinforces respect. Take away one, and the other starts to collapse. This is why so many men get hooked on achievement. Society tells them, win the job, get the money, build the status, then you'll get respect. So men chase external markers like trophies. But here's the problem. If their partner at home doesn't admire them for who they are, then all that success feels empty. That's why you'll hear men with six-figure jobs or flashy cars still say, I feel unappreciated. Because admiration isn't about material stuff. It's about identity. Picture two scenarios. In the first, a man comes home with flowers. His partner barely looks up, says, "Cool," and goes back to scrolling. In the second, the same man brings home flowers. His partner looks at him, smiles, and says, "You always know how to make me feel special. I love how thoughtful you are." Same action, two completely different experiences. One drains him, the other fills him. That's the power of respect and admiration. And let's be clear, respect doesn't mean agreeing with everything he says or inflating his ego with fake praise. It means recognizing effort, acknowledging his identity, making him feel like he's not invisible. Because when a man feels admired, he'll go to the ends of the earth for you. But when he feels disrespected, that's when you lose him, even if he's still physically there. But here's the catch. Respect alone isn't enough. Because while admiration is fuel for a man's identity, there's something even deeper he craves. Something most men are terrified to admit out loud. And in the next chapter, I'm going to reveal the truth about vulnerability. Why men secretly long for emotional safety, and why most never get it. If you're starting to see men in a different light, do me a favor. Hit that like button so we can spread this message further. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you agree that respect is more important than love for men, or do you think it's the other way around? Trust me, you're not going to want to miss Chapter 4, because this is where we uncover the hidden fear that keeps most men trapped in silence. Here's something most people don't realize. Men want to be vulnerable, but they're terrified of it. And that fear? It's one of the biggest reasons why men stay silent about their true desires, and why so many relationships feel emotionally one-sided. Stick with me, because what I'm about to share will change the way you see men forever. From the time they're little boys, men hear the same messages. Don't cry, man up, stop being soft. So what happens? They learn to shut down their emotions. They learn to equate vulnerability with weakness. By the time they're adults, most men have built walls so high that even the people closest to them can't climb over. But here's the paradox. Deep down, every man craves a space where he can finally drop the act, where he doesn't have to perform, doesn't have to pretend, doesn't have to be the strong one. I remember a guy telling me about the first time he cried in front of his partner. He'd lost a close friend unexpectedly. He broke down, shaking, tears pouring out. And instead of being embraced, his partner pulled back and said, "I've never seen you like this. It's kind of unattractive." That one comment shut him down for years. From that day on, he decided vulnerability wasn't safe. He built his walls even higher. Now, here's the kicker. He didn't stop feeling. He just stopped sharing. And that silence became the slow death of their relationship. Have you ever seen a man shut down emotionally after being vulnerable once? Drop your story in the comments, because I promise you're not alone. Most men wear emotional armor. On the outside, they look strong, confident, maybe even untouchable. But inside, they're carrying stress, fear, anxiety, and doubt. The problem is, when there's no safe outlet, all of that pressure builds up. And eventually, it bursts out as anger, withdrawal, or self-destruction. That's why so many men struggle in silence. Because they want to be vulnerable, but the risk of being judged or rejected feels too dangerous. Here's the truth. Emotional safety is one of the deepest things men crave. It's not about fixing every problem. It's not about agreeing with everything he says. It's about being a space where he feels he won't be ridiculed, mocked, or dismissed for expressing his fears or pain. When a man finds that, everything changes. He starts to open up. He becomes more affectionate. He communicates more. He trusts more deeply. Because finally, he feels like he has permission to be fully human. Not just the strong provider, not just the protector, but a person with emotions too. Let's compare two scenarios. In the first, a man shares his worry about losing his job. His partner rolls her eyes and says, "You're overreacting. You'll figure it out." In the second, he shares the same fear. This time, his partner listens, nods, and says, "That sounds tough. I believe in you. We'll get through this together." Two completely different reactions. One builds a wall, the other builds trust. And that's the difference between a man shutting down and a man opening up. Here's the part men almost never admit. They're terrified that if they show their true emotions, they'll be seen as less of a man. That fear is hardwired, and it's why so many men would rather risk bottling everything up, even if it destroys them, than risk being judged as weak. But the truth is, the strongest men aren't the ones who hide their emotions. The strongest men are the ones who find the courage to share them with someone who makes them feel safe enough to do so. Do you think society punishes men for being vulnerable? Or do you think men just need to step up and take the risk anyway? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your take. So far, we've uncovered that men crave respect, admiration, and emotional safety. But there's one final layer. The desire that ties everything together. The one need that explains why men stay, why they leave, and why they cheat. And in the next chapter, I'm going to reveal that ultimate truth, the hidden driver behind almost every decision men make in love and life. If you're still here, first of all, thank you. Do me a favor. Hit that like button so we can push this message further. And tell me in the comments, what does emotional safety look like to you in a relationship? Stick around for Chapter 5, because trust me, this final piece is the one most people completely overlook, and it's the key to truly understanding men. Let me ask you one final question. Why do men stay in some relationships and walk away from others? Why do some men cheat and others remain loyal for life? The answer comes down to one thing, one truth that most people completely overlook. It's not sex, it's not money, it's not even respect on its own. At the deepest level, what men really want is purpose. To feel that their life matters, to feel that their existence leaves a mark, and to know they're building a legacy, not just for themselves, but with someone by their side. Here's the reality. Every man, whether he admits it or not, thinks about legacy. That doesn't always mean a business empire or $1 million fortune. Sometimes it's simpler. A family that carries his name, a partner who believes in him, a community that remembers him for his impact. It's about meaning, about leaving something behind that says, "I was here and I mattered." And in relationships, this shows up as one powerful question men often carry silently. Does being with you make me a better man? Does this partnership give my life more meaning, or does it drain it? I once heard about a man who stayed in a difficult marriage for years. When people asked him why, he didn't talk about love or attraction. He said, "Because my kids are my legacy, and I don't want to lose that." Another man, in contrast, left a long-term relationship even though he said he still loved his partner. Wait, his exact words, "I felt like my life was going nowhere. I didn't feel like she believed in me or that we were building anything together." Two men, two very different choices, but both were driven by the same hidden need, legacy and purpose. What do you think matters more to men? Happiness in the moment or building a lasting legacy? Drop your answer below, because this is a debate worth having. Here's where it gets powerful. For many men, Purpose isn't just about career or achievements, it's about connection. The right partner doesn't just share his life, she amplifies it. She makes him feel like his struggles, his victories, his very existence has weight. It's not about needing someone to complete him. It's about knowing that together, they're building something bigger than either one of them alone. That's why men light up when they feel supported, admired, respected, and emotionally safe. Because all of those things feed into this deeper sense of purpose. But here's the danger. When men feel their life lacks meaning, when they feel disconnected from their purpose, they start searching elsewhere. That's why some men chase affairs, addictions, or constant distractions. It's not always about pleasure. It's about escaping the emptiness of a life that doesn't feel significant. And that's also why some men fall into depression or burnout. Because without a sense of legacy, life feels like a treadmill, running fast, going nowhere. Picture this. One man comes home, and his partner says, "Why don't you ever do enough? You're always falling short." Another man comes home, and his partner says, "I see how hard you're working. I'm proud of you. I believe in where you're headed." The difference isn't just words, it's life-changing. Because one kills his sense of purpose, while the other fuels it. So when we put it all together, respect, admiration, emotional safety, they're not random desires. They all serve the same core need. Men want to feel that their life matters. They want to know they're building a legacy, that their existence isn't wasted, that their partner sees their value and their future together. This is what men rarely say out loud, but it's the ultimate truth of what they really want. So here's the challenge I'll leave you with. If you're with a man, ask yourself, does he feel respected? Does he feel emotionally safe? Does he feel like he's building a legacy with you? And if you're a man watching this, ask yourself, are you honest about these needs? Or are you still hiding behind silence, hoping someone will figure it out for you? This series may be ending here, but the conversation doesn't stop. Because once you understand what men really want, you start to see relationships in a whole new light. And the more we talk about it, the more we break the silence. If this final chapter hit home for you, smash that like button. It helps this message reach more people. And in the comments, tell me this. What do you believe is the greatest legacy a man can leave behind? If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because this channel is only getting started.